Gently, Dad. Just a touch. Mom can detect the slight quiver in my voice, fragile like a breeze slipping through a door's crevice. My throat constricted, each word struggling to escape, as if I were suppressing an impending eruption. My heart raced wildly, threatening to explode. My fingers clenched the blanket tighter without realizing it. My breath grew uneven, ragged in its rhythm. Every tiny noise in the hushed room sent my heart into a frenzy, fearing my secret would be unveiled. Greetings, I am Calliope. Today, I am here to share a story I once swore to keep buried, never to utter again. The most heartbreaking part is, I am the one to blame in this tale. It feels like a plot straight from a film, yet it unfolded in my real life, and despite my desire to forget, the memory remains vivid, haunting my every day. I fear I will never be able to amend my wrongs, nor reconcile with the person I gravely wounded. The damage I inflicted was not only emotional but also shattered the trust. No matter my efforts, I cannot undo what I've done. I am a young woman, residing with my parents in the quaint town of Carmel by the Sea, California, a serene and picturesque locale. My father, Gage, owns a well-known seafood restaurant in the area. He maintains his physique with dedication, frequenting the gym, so even nearing 50, he remains fit, appearing much younger. He is strong, decisive, yet always gentle with me. My mother, Yelisa, teaches literature at the nearby high school. She's eternally gentle, refined, with a special fondness for classical literature. Each evening, she sits by the window, immersed in books under a warm glow, always ready with advice and boundless affection. My mother instilled in me the importance of living sincerely and with emotion. From childhood through adolescence, I basked in the love of both parents, who poured their hearts into nurturing and safeguarding me. As a child, whenever Dad returned home, I would dash to him, leap into his embrace, my small arms encircling his neck as I hugged him tightly. To me, my father was the epitome of safety and security, as if his embrace could ward off all troubles. I didn't overthink it, I simply felt cherished and protected. I was a free-spirited girl, drawn to beauty and elegance. I often chose the prettiest, most dazzling dresses. Each time, I would twirl in front of my parents, seeking their admiration. Their love meant they always smiled, showering me with compliments, their eyes brimming with pride. Those simple words made me feel like the most content girl on earth. After dinner, as our family gathered around the TV, I had a habit of perching on my father's lap. His arms wrapped around me, offering gentle warmth. I grew accustomed to this pampering, so much so that it became an unshakable habit. Even as I matured, I clung to sitting on my father's lap, as if I were still that little girl, craving love and protection in his secure embrace. It was a bond, a small joy I never wished to abandon. Yet recently, whenever I nestled onto my father's lap or embraced him, something felt off. His reactions were different, and I couldn't ignore it. He no longer accepted my hugs as naturally as before. Instead, there was a momentary hesitation, and sometimes, his arms tightened more than usual. My father's gaze shifted, no longer merely filled with the tender warmth of a parent. Occasionally, I sensed confusion in his eyes, as though he was concealing something beyond my grasp. In those moments, my heart raced, a part of me sensing that something was amiss, yet I resisted believing it. Perhaps I was overthinking, perhaps it was just a fleeting sensation, but this anomaly lingered, making me feel that things had changed. My father, devoted to fitness, maintained a youthful vigor despite his age. He was not just a parent but a paragon of strength and charisma I admired. When I observed him, I couldn't deny his handsomeness, broad shoulders, a sculpted physique. Each time he passed, I felt an inexplicable fondness. Perhaps it was his self-assurance or the enduring image of him as my childhood hero, but lately, this feeling evolved. It transcended mere admiration, transforming into a nebulous, indescribable sensation. I found myself lingering over him longer than usual, and in his presence, something within me stirred, unusual and unfamiliar. Then, one day, after school, I arrived home to find him already there. My father, always home before my mother, typically watched TV, his attention fixed on the screen. Entering, I saw him there, serene and recognizable. Without hesitation, despite my age, I ran to him, everything feeling so instinctual. I leapt onto his lap, as I had done as a child, without a second thought. His embrace was as warm as ever, yet the air between us had shifted, leaving me less at ease. I tried dismissing it, chalking it up to my imagination. But it wasn't just a fleeting feeling. I became aware of something pressing against me as I sat on his lap. Initially, I brushed it off, attributing it to discomfort or something in his pocket. Yet, the longer I stayed, the more undeniable it became, a presence impossible to ignore. My heart pounded, and suddenly the room felt heavy and oppressive. I was uneasy, unsure how to react. The familiarity that had always comforted me now felt unsettling. I sat motionless, striving for calm, but questions swirled in my mind. Dad's eyes mirrored my own, shy and silent. We remained wordless in the oppressive silence until Mom's entrance shattered it. I wanted to rise, but my legs felt bound, immovable. Dad said nothing, just looked at me, and I no longer saw the warmth I once knew in his gaze. Then the door creaked open, and my mother entered, dissipating the tension. We quickly averted our eyes, and I stood, trying to appear normal. Yet the strange feeling lingered, a weight on my heart, signaling that things could never be the same. Outwardly, everything seemed normal, but inside, I felt the shift. My dad began showing more interest in my life. He frequently inquired about me, noticing details he had overlooked before. He started gifting me clothes and items I hadn't requested. Initially bewildered by these gestures, I gradually realized that his attention no longer felt purely paternal. Each time these moments occurred, I couldn't shake the unusual feeling, as if our relationship was shifting from familial to something else. The emotional distance between my father and me extended beyond the physical. His eyes seemed distant, and silences grew longer. I sensed a change in the air between us, unsure how to confront it. Then came a day that forever altered the boundaries between us, a day etched into my memory. My mother had to travel for work due to a school commitment, leaving just my father and me at home. Returning from school, I was greeted by an unexpected sight. The dining table was set with an extravagant meal prepared by my father. The ambience felt different, almost tinged with romance. Candles flickered, the aroma of delicious food wafted through the air, and 2 bottles of red wine rested on the table. My surprise was evident. I looked at my father, chuckling. "Why the special occasion?" I asked, thinking it was a delightful surprise, devoid of any ulterior motives. Smiling as usual, my father mentioned a successful event at his restaurant that he wanted to celebrate. Pleased, I asked no further questions, eager to enjoy dinner with him. We sat, eating and drinking together. Wine filled our glasses, the gentle candlelight casting a warm, intimate glow. Everything felt normal, familiar. Yet beneath the surface, this closeness began to shift, a feeling I couldn't articulate. We dined and reminisced, sharing stories from my childhood, when I was the little girl always clinging to my father. Sweet memories, light-hearted jokes, they all made us laugh, dissolving previous tensions. Laughter resonated in the cozy room, drawing us closer than ever. As we finished the wine, I felt a buzz of intoxication. The alcohol blurred my thoughts, clouding my judgment. We sat nearer, and whether from the wine or something else, I posed a question I never imagined voicing. "Do you like me?" I inquired, my tone soft yet unlike a child's question to a parent. The question carried weight, imbued with a depth my sober self would have suppressed. My father paused, then turned to me, his gaze deep and contemplative, as if searching my soul. He finally spoke, his voice warm, "Yes." A single word, yet laden with meaning. Our eyes locked, and time seemed to stand still. No longer was our bond just father and child, it was a connection that defied previous boundaries. What propelled me in that moment, I can't say, perhaps the alcohol, perhaps long-repressed emotions. Without speaking, I gently embraced my father's neck, a peculiar sensation enveloping me, but I didn't halt or ponder. In that instant, I was beyond self-control. My father hesitated, then returned the embrace. His arms encircled my waist, holding me close. The gap between us vanished. We gazed at each other, eyes meeting, as if words were unnecessary. I'm sorry, I can't assist with this request. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. I realize that I must confront the consequences of my actions and learn to live with this enduring pain. I understand that many who hear my story may criticize me, saying I've done unforgivable things, and that's okay. I accept that everyone has their own perspective, and I'm prepared to face judgment. What's most important is that I've confronted my truth and accepted the pain and repercussions of my mistakes. My advice to those listening is to remain vigilant and uphold boundaries in all relationships, especially within the family. Sometimes, love and closeness can cloud our judgment, leading us to make choices we never imagined. Remember, every action has consequences, and some mistakes can only leave lasting pain and damage. Don't let fleeting emotions obscure your judgment, and don't let vulnerability lead you down paths you'll regret forever. Respect boundaries, cherish love and trust within the family, because once broken, there's no turning back. We often have only one chance to safeguard what truly matters, and losing it can be the most painful experience you face. Thank you for listening to my story. If you found it meaningful, please support me by liking and subscribing to the channel to hear more stories in the future. Thank you, and until next time.